Before we start the show, I'm excited to announce that we have a new sponsor for this podcast, and it's DocRx. DocRx is a family-oriented company dedicated to tailor operational solutions for patient health and compliance programs that increases the quality and efficiency of patient-centered care, and always with the mission of the patient's health first. With over 10 years of experience helping doctors and their patients with diagnostic testing, patient monitoring, medical supplies, compliance, wholesale pharmacy, physician dispensing, billing, and much more. DocRx is your patient and health compliance solution, both under one roof. To find out how DocRx can help you, your hospital, pharmacy, or physician's office, see all their services at docrx.com. That's DOCRX.com. Now on to today's show. Let me ask you this. What's some advice you would give the people out there that they love their hobby, they have a passion, but they have a day job? How do they get started to make that hobby become a job or side hustle?
Well, I have a full-time job. I have a career, and this is my side hustle, and I love my side hustle. And so the important thing to do is that first step, just make the thing. Don't worry about it. Make the thing and understand and be okay with that. The first thing you make is not going to be great, but that's okay because the next thing is going to be better. And the one after that's going to be even better. And after that's going to be wonderful. This is a process. This is a process that everyone goes through, from the great filmmakers, the great novelists. There's very few one-hit wonders. So you go out there and just make the thing. That's the important. And we're in the age of the internet. There's room for everything. So if you want to do a golfing pasta show, make a golfing pasta show. So,
I think I'm in love with you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to start a couple shows talking about taking that hobby and making a business out of it. Did you know it was already a business anyway, really? Today, we have Scotty White. Scotty White does comic books, podcasts, game shows, creating his own channel on Roku. Going to find out what that is because I didn't know. He's using technology to create and monetize his passion and his creativity. Hey, I'm Karen. I'm a former CPA, entrepreneur, business consultant with big ideas.
Welcome to Cheers to Business.
Scotty White, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
I know you work at Wind Creek, but what do you do?
I am an animation and video specialist, so I make web shows for Wind Creek Hospitality for the casinos, and I also do digital signage. So all the animated cool signs and marquees you see, I help make those. We actually have 6 casinos now in the United States.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize y'all had 6 of them.
Yes, we have 3 in Alabama, 2 in the Caribbean, and most recently this year, right before COVID, we opened one in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Who knew? All right, but it started here in Alabama, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One reason you interest me so much is because I've met so many creative people that don't realize that they're operating businesses at the same time, that they're just following their passion.
Right.
When did you realize that you had some viable, possible businesses coming from your creativity?
I think it was early on, probably in my mid-20s, when it kind of dawned on me, and it took a little while to get there. Ever since I was 25, 26, my driving passion has been following my hobbies into turning it into a business.
Now, see, I love that. I think everything's a business. I think everything we do is typically a business if you are fulfilling a need.
That's true. Very much.
And to me, entertainment is a need. I think this whole COVID thing has proved that more than anything.
Absolutely. With so much, everyone's been stuck at home, so they've been doing streaming and listening to podcasts, and it's so much to see all the creative energy out there that people are consuming.
As you tell your story a little bit, I know you do comic books, podcasts, game shows, something called the Mopcast Network, and I don't even know what a Roku channel is. So enlighten me and tell your story.
Real quick, I've always been creative. I was a creative kid. I was overactive imagination. At the core, it really turned me into a writer. That's what and so, I was always writing stories or little novels and stuff. But as I got older, I was drawn into comics and movies and things, and they're very similar, animals, everything's script writing. And so I started writing scripts and wanting to make movies. And then realistically, movies are expensive to make on your own. I tried to do it a few times. It didn't quite work as well as I'd liked. And so I've changed mediums. I went from movies to comics, which is a little bit more manageable. And then I went into podcasting as well. The Mopcast Network is my podcast network. So we have our own branded name for it. I have a character in my comic. She's a mascot of my company. Her name is Mop, and she kind of looks like the Wendy's girl. And but I'm a big follower of Walt Disney, and Walt Disney was big on branding and branding your name. So I, took ownership of my name. So everything now I have is under the Scotty White company instead of all these other little separate things I used to have. And I have Mop as my mascot behind it. So I took all that creative energy, and so now I'm doing comics and podcasts and just whatever my heart is content on.
So tell about your comic books. I mean, are they in full publication, or where stage are they?
Well, I have 2 books out now that are already published. We're working on 2 more that's hope we're going to publish in 2021 next year. My main comic book is called Chronicles of Limbo. It's a science fiction fantasy story for pretty much all ages about a 300-year-old half vampire and her cosmically powered toddler.
That is so cool. My cousin, who unfortunately passed at the end of 2018, actually did the animation. He was following his career as an actor, but he was an artist, creative, much like you. And his name was Nathan Smith.
Oh, Nathan was a very dear friend of mine. He was actually my very first short
Really? Film. Well, his mom and my mom were sisters.
Oh, okay. Nathan was a wonderful talent. He worked a lot with my friends Kevin Laporte and Amanda Rachels, who own Inverse Press.
Oh, man.
And did a lot of comics with them.
Yeah.
After this, I will send you. I did an interview with Nathan, I think 2014, 2015. Yeah. We did an hour-long podcast with him. I'll send you the link.
Please do. His mom would just love that. But you remind me a lot about him. I was looking back through some of I stalked you a little bit, sorry.
Please.
on Facebook. And man, you have met a lot of famous people. And he was into what do you call the con thing where you have the conferences?
Yeah, so we have there's a whole subculture out there for conventions. Started out as comic book conventions. Now they've become morphed into these pop culture conventions. Actually, we just did one locally this past Saturday in Mobile, and they are absolutely a blast. And that's how I meet a lot of my celebrities. That's for me. That's a way to sell. So I usually. You can purchase a table at these events, which I do, and I can set up the comics I have, or stickers, or posters, or whatever we make, and that's how we introduce ourselves to a new audience, and we sell books that way.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the shows I've done in the past is about people taking a hobby and then eventually quitting their day job because it turns into something. But whether you make stuff or bake stuff or whatever, getting these tables to get yourself out there at the markets. I'm doing a market, especially now that we all need to be outside or, not confined. And so I like how you take the initiative. And so you encourage people to go get those tables.
Absolutely. It's a great, especially if you're, in these kind of creative arts, like comics or podcasting. That's one of the best ways to get out and meet your audience and build your audience too. It has been nothing but a wonderful thing for us, a good growth measure.
So what history do you have in the business part of it? To me, creative people, it's easier for them to market than business type people. Right. And so marketing's putting yourself out there, but how do you handle, or do you think you also have the talent to handle the business side of things?
The Scotty White company, unfortunately, can only afford one employee, and that's me. So I'm kind of been forced to do everything
right.
myself.
Everybody's like that.
And so sometimes, like I guess like everybody else, sometimes I'm not the best out of it, but I do try very, very hard at it. I've kind of learned over the years how to balance a lot of that. The big thing is keeping up with your taxes. There's so much you can save and so much you can do just by saving receipts. It's amazing how that works out.
So do you use a CPA or consultants, or, who do you reach out to help you? Because I think people are a lot of times they don't realize they have a business, or if they do realize they have a business or want to take it to the next step, they're not sure who to go to for help.
Well, I do have a CPA, and she helps me out. She's a friend, and luckily I had a friend, who was a CPA, so I kind of fell into that. The best thing is everyone has a circle of friends and family, and it's always good to ask, who knows who? Advice is always out there. And so, that's what I do. If I need something, I go find it.
I was actually a CPA for 25 years and sold my practice in May 2019. But, I never advertised, just referrals.
Right.
Like, who do you know, or what podcast do you listen to? How many times have you heard that? So tell me your experience, getting the podcast off the ground, and what kind of following do you have?
The podcast was an accidental thing, I guess. So I was in college. I'm studying communications at West Virginia State University in Institute, West Virginia. And it's a small historically black college, and they had a radio, like a lot of colleges have a radio station. Unfortunately, they didn't have an FCC license to broadcast, so it was just basically used for student projects. So it was empty all the time. And I have to thank my broadcast professor, Kim Cobb, who allowed me to use that for podcasting. I had just started listening to podcasts, and I was like, well, this seems like it could be easy. I like to talk. And I think I'm an interesting guy. So I started a whole pop culture network because we had just had different ideas for shows. And so it was so economical for us to try this. I mean, the only thing we were paying for was for like hosting for the websites. So, we had recording space for free. And so we just did a bunch of shows. And so under that, I created a network, and we just see what stuck into the wall. Some shows worked, some shows didn't. And so we've built up a following. We've got a 3,000 to 5,000 listeners. It's ebbed and flowed over the years, especially as competitions come in, but we're still growing.
No, that's cool. I think we've got over 100 shows now. And I don't know if you had ever listened to our show, but we give free business advice. And we started out with me and my daughter, and then she got busy in life. And so I've kind of taken it and run with it. And I don't know what I would do without Johnny. So, it's nice to have that resource. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. What's some advice you would give the people out there that they love their hobby, they have a passion, but they have a day job, they want to go to comics or movies or how to fish or golf or whatever? How do they get started to make that hobby become a job or side hustle?
Well, I have a full-time job. I have a career. And this is my side hustle, and I love my side hustle. And so the important thing to do is that first step. Just make the thing. Don't worry about it. Make the thing, and understand and be okay with that. The first thing you make is not going to be great, but that's okay, because the next thing is going to be better, and the one after that's going to be even better, and after that's going to be wonderful. This is a process. This is a process that everyone goes through, from the great filmmakers, the great novelists. There's very few one-hit wonders. So you go out there and just make the thing. That's the important. And we're in the age of the internet. There's room for everything. So if you want to do a golfing pasta show, make a golfing pasta show. So
I think I'm in love with you. So, people want from me a lot of times, they want clear steps and instructions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, sometimes I'll leave out 3 and 5, but sometimes I do it on purpose, because I can't tell you after 2 what's going to happen. It's going to change. So,
right.
Let's do this part first. Just do it. So I love that. I think everybody should take encouragement from that and just do something.
It's one of the mentors I listened to said, just make the thing. And that's what I did. I made the thing, and I keep making things. And that's what I love. I enjoy making it and putting it out there. And, some things work, some things don't work, but that's okay. At least I put it out there, and it doesn't live in my head anymore.
I call it being a Roomba. You hit the wall, don't keep trying to go through that wall you're not going to. Just, turn to the left or right and go a different direction, because you'll find your way.
Exactly.
So what do you think has been your biggest struggles in trying to take this passion hobby into a business?
Well, I think for us, and mainly because we're entertainment. And so trying to get it in front of audiences, it's been difficult, especially in COVID times. With the podcast and stuff, one of our and the comics, one of our biggest sellers are the conventions. Well, COVID has taken away conventions this year. Well, I mean, I lost. We had 10 booked. I did 2, and so that's a shot to the pocketbook, and plus shot to the audiences who don't see us. I did do one show, and we finally got to do one in August. 1st of August, but we didn't do a panel or a show with that. And when they don't know you, they don't go and buy your stuff. They'll look, but they don't buy it. They don't have that engagement. And it was kind of hard to engage with COVID. However, we're turning the curve on that. We're doing a lot more advertising, a lot more marketing on that.
Yeah, we're trying to find different ways to do that. And the last few shows have been called Get Back Up. Just get back up. Just quit crying and put your big panties on. Come on. That's been a hard thing for people. And so I think it's different for a lot of people. There's a podcast called Bumblebutt Podcast. And it's some guys in Wisconsin. I think that's where they are. They have the accents. And if bad language bothers you, don't listen to them. But it's about weird crimes and serial killers and stuff. So it's really way outside my normal, but they're so damn funny.
True crime is a huge genre in podcasting.
I've heard. There's another one I found that I really liked as far as that platform, but they do Patreon. All right. Oh, yeah. So Patreon, GoFundMe. What do you do? What's some of your advice for other people?
We are working on a Patreon for next year. I'm gathering. The thing about Patreon is you have to have, you don't have to, but it's good to have like exclusive offers. And
can you tell what it is? I'm not sure I know what it is.
Patreon it's an artist site for people to fund artist projects. So yeah, so if, like your podcast, if people like you have enough listeners, and you want to offer extra podcast or extra advice or personal sessions with people, you can do that. They pay a monthly fee and to support you, and it can be anywhere from $1 to whatever. For that, they get to support what you do. Plus, it's nice to give them something back. And so right now we're working on the content for the Patreon to launch next.
Is it a tip jar?
It's kind of like a tip jar, but it's monthly, and so
a recurring tip jar. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's very cool. And it's been around for a few years. I've been watching this year some other friends who have that and looking at their models, and so we're looking at doing that. I don't have any experience with GoFundMe, but I have had 2 successful Kickstarters, and so I've had experience with Kickstarter. And if you're going to do comics or books or something like that, I really highly suggest Kickstarter. It's a wonderful platform to fund your project.
Are you on Patreon now?
Not yet. We will. I mean, I am, but we don't have anything up yet. So I'm trying to launch probably I'm looking at January, latest February. But
are you on Kickstarter right now?
I am. We're not currently don't have a project on Kickstarter going, but we're on Kickstarter.
Okay, cool. What about GoFundMe?
Like I said, I don't have much experience with GoFundMe. I've paid into it, but Kickstarter seems to be more friendly to creative endeavors than GoFundMe does. I think people like with Kickstarter, it's like if you don't fund it, if it doesn't hit your goal, it's not funded. And GoFundMe, whatever you make, you keep. But I think backers like the fact that you have to work for it.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like a door-to-door salesman when I'm running a Kickstarter. I'm knocking on virtual doors and saying, "Hey, I got this Kickstarter.
Right.
This is what's really cool about it. And, check out this video, or let me tell you about it."
Well, people be more likely to give if they're getting something, or if they know that person has got skin in the game, not just a handout. It's not a handout.
And for us, when I do comics, the comic is done. I'm just raising money for printing. And so, and so it's almost like a pre-order. You get, and we have exclusives and neat things to go along with that.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get a sponsorship. That'd be DocRx, serving all your medical needs in clinics across the nation. Anyway, that's our little spot for our sponsor, who we're fortunate enough to recently get. So it's very helpful to do something and to put it out there that you think has value. You want others to see value, whether it's entertainment or informative.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your next step?
My next step is I'm working on a video project that we're going to bring to my video platform, and we're going to to the website, and hopefully to a Roku channel.
What is Roku?
So Roku is a streaming device, so you can put all your streaming channels together, like Amazon or HBO Go or Showtime or whatever. You
mean I could have my own HBO channel?
You can. It's not very expensive. It's not very expensive. It's just the big thing is about the content. You got to keep creating content.
Who's monitoring it?
Well, we would through our own website.
Okay. So there's no regulations or anything like that?
No, regulations only is for over the air, not cable.
Okay. Huh.
That's because the airways are public, so they're all of ours, and so they're regulated by the FCC.
That's interesting. That's why people cuss on HBO, but you can't on ABC.
Right.
All right. So how do you get, like, if I were searching you on my little smart TV that my 12-year-old granddaughter operates much more effectively than I do, how do you find you? How do you find all these channels?
Like Roku has a search feature. So whatever channel you want to look for, you just type it in: HBO, CNN, Fox, whatever you need to find. If there's an app for it, they'll have an app for it.
So on my TV, I would search Roku?
Roku is a device. So you'd have to buy the Roku to attach to your TV.
So you buy a Roku, is it like a dish box or something? A cable box?
Yeah, it's kind of like a dish box, except it's, instead of hooking up to a satellite, it hooks to the internet, and it uses apps.
Okay, I think Johnny's feeling sorry for me because he's sending me messages saying it's on the TV, it's in the menu, do a search. So what do you hope to achieve with that?
Just exposure. I want to create, and I love creating, and I just want to, for us, it's just getting it out there. We'll put it out there, and if it gets picked up by somebody bigger, that's great. If not, we'll make some other stuff. I mean, we want to make entertainment that entertains people. We want to make people happy and enjoy what we do.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But I keep wanting to come back to the business side of it. And, I know those creative people that found a thing, and whether they sell it on Etsy or they do markets or, whatever, they've been able to quit their day job. Do you think you would do that ultimately?
I love Wind Creek. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to work. They're great to their employees. I have great benefits. When what I do outweighs that, I'll make the switch. But right now, I'm happy where I'm at. So we're chugging along. But if Hollywood comes knocking on the door and you sending me big checks, well, we'll have to make some decisions.
I tell you, we'll remember the little people back when that happens.
Yes,
all right. So on this show, we give a cheers because we're going to have to, wind it up here a little bit. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Cheers to you and your endeavors, and thank you for keeping everyone entertained.
So cheers to creativity. Go out and make something.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. How do people find your information? How they get your comic books, and where are you?
I'm super easy. Go to www.scottywhite.com. Everything's there.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please be sure to subscribe to Cheers to Business podcast on iTunes or anywhere else that you get your podcast. Visit our Facebook and be sure to give us a like. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, shoot us an email from the website cheerstobusiness.com.